Thank you, Carly. Okay, so if I go here. Oh my gracious. Okay, so it's not going to let me share it on here. Let's do Christina. It wasn't there for you to approve yesterday. Of course it wasn't, because I think I got a little crazy about deleting the one that had extra comments, the corrections.
I also just uploaded the agenda. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Carly, you're going to help me remember to work with Denise to get all the advisors added to that channel. Perfect.
Yep, I made note.
Okay. All right, so welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's Taco Tuesday. Happy to see you all. We made it to September. I cannot believe it's just a whirlwind. All right, so I am Lisa Beals from the Office of the Registrar. If anybody doesn't know me, lucky you. I am the Senior Associate Registrar. My team is responsible for commencement, curricula, academic record registration, athletic compliance, a few things. So with me, I've got other partners from the Registrar's office because it takes a small army to manage a campus, help facilitate everybody's actions on a campus of this size. So I see Kim. Kim is here with the Queen of Catalog and Curriculum on Program of Study. Carly is here. She is part of my brain. Who else is here from the Registrar's team? Ryan, I see you.
Holly and Sandy are here.
Holly and Sandy are here, the Pre-Reg team. Brian's there for MPP, and his team helps with the advisor loads and the cohort loads and end of term processes.
Chris is here.
Who?
Chris.
Chris is here. Yeah. She's the student curriculum and commencement queen. Pulled off pioneering a brand new ceremony in 2020 and first ever outdoor Ross-Aid. With a team of 3, a core team of 3. Peg is here. Thank you, Peg. I saw you raise your hand. Peg's here with credit eval. Barb is here. Awesome. Barb. Tammy is here. Hey, Tammy. We just got off a call. Does Jill happen to be on from scheduling? No? Okay. Okay. So I feel like I got enough powerhouses to support questions that'll come up. If you guys have questions that I can't answer, we're recording. We'll get answers and bring them back to you. Okay, first on the agenda is best practices for updating curricula for graduating seniors. This is sort of a very, very selfish ask, but we are going to ask, and I know this is not going to be the first ask for some of you because Chris has been asking for some time, Chris passed. We are going to ask that you guys, as soon as you humanly possibly can, have your graduating seniors for December and May. We want you to have them verify their curricula, get it updated as soon as possible, and get them to apply to graduate for either December or spring. Chris has been doing projections to help inform the president's office on divisions and the breakdown for December and May, but her data is pretty spot on historically, but we would really love to get more concrete data, and knowing that the Apply to Graduate tool is out there, if you guys can get your graduating seniors curricula current in the CCR and then get them to apply to graduate for either December or spring, that would really help inform us, so that if Chris sees a shift that she wasn't anticipating, we have time to pivot. Tamra.
Gotta unmute myself. Are we returning back to our normal, as it was formerly called, graduation schedule for May, or is it going to be?
As of September 14th at 9:06, we plan to be back in Elliott.
Perfect. Yes. Just for the students who asked.
That's the president's plan as well. So awesome. We want, but we don't know at this point whether we're going to have 7 ceremonies or 8. because of the numbers that I'm seeing and COVID. So we're still in a constraint of practicing social distancing for commencement. So we might possibly have 8 ceremonies for May. So
if anybody has a really good functioning crystal ball, we would take it. Okay, super. Thank you for your efforts to get our seniors on the apply to graduation list. Thank you in advance. Next on the agenda is we wanted to talk about research credits for 698 and 699. I don't believe very many of you are going to be on this. You might have some that are doing undergrad research, so the same applies. Our desire is, and I know it's clunky, students enroll in the course. Banner will put them in the lowest number of credits that is set at the catalog, and then the students go in and they have to ask for their credits to be modified. That is our preference. We're going to ask you to please not send Form 23s for modify or registration via campus mail. We've had a handful do that and we end up with issues. We don't have enough signatures, students has a hold. So then there's a lot of back and forth. And for us, it's more streamlined to use the online system. If your students aren't going to do that, then they would submit their Form 23 via registrar at purdue.edu. Knowing that it today sits at 366, just a lot of emails to go through with a small number of people in addition to everything else they're doing. So patience is appreciated on that. Any questions about research? Carly, did I hit everything we were wanting to hit on that?
I have a question, Lisa.
Yes.
I have several students who it's rare, but I have some students who are trying to sign up for the same class but different CRNs because they're doing research under 2 different professors.
Yes.
And the system won't let them do that. Would you still want them to hand in the Form 23 for that second professor?
So we have 2 options on that. If it's a short course, know that we're probably at about a week turnaround. So I would hate for them to get stuck in the Reg inbox for that. What you can do as an advisor, because right now we've talked about this as an enhancement to the scheduling assistant, but there are as many or more downsides to telling the scheduling assistant allow a student to request the same class more than once, because you can just imagine Psych 120 distance, Psych 120 in person. Students that aren't paying attention might enroll in the exact same class 3 times. And we don't want them in Psych 120 for 9 credits for 1 term. They need to pick one for 3 credits. So as much as I'm an advocate of building some logic into Unitime and the scheduling assistant to allow for it to know that it's a repeatable course, we're not quite there yet. So as an advisor, if you know your student is trying to do that, there is an override called duplicate course.
Okay.
That you could put that in Safasser Poe. They still, I haven't tested it. In all honesty, I haven't tested it. Like the closed section, right? If a department doesn't let the student request a closed section override, they can still put the course on their registration, push it through, get the error, and say yes, and then it'll hit banner to see the override and let it go through. I have not tested to know if the scheduling assistant will allow the duplicate course to go through or if it's a hard stop. So I apologize. I'm throwing it out here on a whim to see if that's a possibility. But if you have a student with a short course, I would say.
The other option is to have the registrar's office create another suffix for that course number in the schedule.
Yeah.
Well, we have like 60 professors, and so that's kind of
and that's a bigger discussion we haven't quite landed on, because we're going to need partnership with the schedule deputies to be consistent in how we do that. Because Steph's right, it's a unique suffix, for all the different faculty member that are going to offer it. So it's a pretty significant undertaking. Had a student get registered with the override. Okay, Morgan, yeah, Karen, thank you. So that's not going to work. It's going to be an email to Registrar at Purdue. I apologize. If your students are not getting a response within the week, tag myself or Brooke so we can see if we can't pull them out and get it done. I promise you our staff are working as much as they can to get those turned around. We even got our student interns are now being trained and working in the Registrar inbox to help facilitate faster turnaround on those.
And Lisa,
Okay,
I do want to add to that. So number one, if you need a refresher on scheduling assistant to see how that looks on the student side, to kind of go over and see how to initially add them, get those approvals, and then change that grade mode, reach out to Jamie Morehouse. We'll get that scheduled, get a little refresher in for you. We'll get you an appointment to get that training scheduled. Number two, if our inbox is messy, if for some reason your student hasn't received a response, even you as the advisor, go ahead, call us. Say, my student emailed on this day from this email address. Here's the Form 23. Here's the situation. Can you look into it? When you call, make sure to tell us that you've previously emailed, because we're wasting our time doing a lot of duplicates. So if you haven't gotten a quick turnaround, just go ahead, give us a call so we can address it, but make sure to also note that you've sent us an email so that we can go ahead and mark that that's been completed.
Thank you for that, Carly. Yes, we can get rid of that. Super. We appreciate your patience. I know it's not ideal, so I do apologize. Jackie, yes, video, you can certainly record the training with Jamie when she's doing it. Don't forget, Purdue Registrar also has a YouTube channel with a bunch of, Jill's got videos for scheduled deputies, tips and tricks. I've got videos out there for students, advisors, and faculty. My videos ideally are not more than 90 seconds long because of attention span. So I have a lot of little short videos, so you might have to piece things together, but I was very intentional that I'm not going to be able to hold anybody's attention for more than maybe 90 seconds. So we can put the link to the Registrar's YouTube channel here in the chat so you guys can go and sort through those. And if there's something missing, let me know and we will get it added to the YouTube channel. We're trying intentionally to get more and more out there. And then, you know, as soon as you get them all out there, then there's a view that changes. And so you have to delete them all and update the view. So that's a bonus. All right, Holly Sandy, are you ready?
We are ready. Hi, everybody. Sandy, say hello. There she is. Okay. Friends, the CRF opened yesterday. Woohoo! So we are, for all of you early birds, the CRF opened yesterday. But really, kind of the kickoff for pre-registration and getting ready for the spring semester isn't going to happen until October 18th, because three major things happen on that date. One, the spring schedule is published. Two, the pre-rec checker gets turned on, which means that overrides are going to start showing up in the workflow. And three, simulations begin, and then you'll be able to see those results in the batch dashboard. So a lot of stuff starts happening on October 18th. But for anybody that is advising between yesterday and October 18th, before the schedule of classes is published, we know that you are doing sometimes a little bit of a guessing game on courses and you know, what may be available and that sort of thing. So what we have done to try and help you out is anybody that is advised from between September 13th and October 18th, those students are automatically given a status window of October 18th through the 22nd so that they can go in and make any changes if they need to based on the spring schedule of classes being published. So hopefully that is a help to all of the advisors out there. And then lastly, just wanted to let you know that office hours, pre-reg office hours start today, and they will be Tuesdays 10 to 10:30. All advisors should have received an email about that last week. I set up a Teams channel for the pre-reg team. And so this is just your time to drop in and ask questions, see if there's anything that you just don't understand or want to quick review on, and we will do that. So office hours will be every Tuesday, 10 to 10:30. And I think that is it for me. Thanks.
Holly, you've got a question.
Let's see here. Do students have to have submitted their CRF by the 18th to have? Yes, they do. So Elizabeth, that's a good question. So in order to be part of that group, yes, you have to have submitted your CRF by the 18th in order to have your status window kind of reopened for that 18th through the 22nd. Yeah, good clarification. Thank you. What if their time status is already set with no date restrictions? Will this Morgan, we have gotten rid of the no date restrictions status. Everything is today plus 2 business days. Will most classes that are in the system actually be offered in the spring? Well, so Colleen, that's what Jill and her team is working on right now, is making sure that those classes that are not offered, that those get pulled out of unit time so that you can't see it at all. So they're working on that.
That deadline was Friday.
Yes, and that deadline was Friday the 10th. Okay, will advisors and students not receive pre-rec errors when submitted? Correct, Molly, they will not get those pre-rec errors until the 18th. So somebody that submitted yesterday or today, that's not going to happen until the 18th. And so advisors, you're going to get a big batch of that workflow.
Not advisors, department designees.
Department designees, thank you, Lisa. The department designees will get a big batch when that pre-rec checker gets turned on. So it's kind of gathering all of those up for this September 13th through the 18th. Okay, does that mean that a student who submitted prior to the 18th need to go back in and resubmit regardless if they want to change? So Elizabeth, if they do not want to make changes, then no, they do not need to resubmit. It's only if they need to make changes now that the schedule of classes has been published for spring.
I have to do a quick clarification on my question. I just was wondering with overrides. So if they submitted some courses and they're overrides that are required, but they submitted their CRF before October 18th and they weren't prompted for overrides, do those automatically go in, or do they need to go back and submit so that the override gets put in?
Lisa?
So the overrides will kick off. So when the validation happens at the evening of the 18th, after the schedule is published during the day, Pre-Reg does a nightly validation against overrides. So those will be generated where your students may wish to go in, even though the override's requested on their behalf, if they need to provide a comment for the decision maker, because Unitime won't know what the reasons, right? Am I bringing in transfer credit? Am I planning to CODO? Something like that. If the student needs to provide information, they should plan to go back in after the 18th to provide that comment for the decision maker.
Okay. Harriet had a clarification question. If you met with students, yesterday and today, and then they don't submit their CRF, that window will not automatically open because it's only going to trigger if they have submitted that CRF. So they have to submit it if they want their status window set and reopen for that 18th through the 22nd. So that's a good clarification question. Okay, once the pre-reg checker gets turned on, are students emailed about it? I know.
They're not emailed that an override has been requested, but they will get notification if it's been approved, denied, or deferred, per usual.
Okay. And then Angela is asking, can a status window be reopened throughout the process? Yes, it can. Or do they have to wait until the reopen? No, Angela, you can reopen their status window as many times as you want. You can do it back to back to back if you would like. So that is entirely up to you. But if you're advising students now, they have to submit by the 18th if they want that special status window of the 18th through the 22nd automatically opened up for them.
Colleen had an earlier question. Will most classes that are offered, that are in the system, actually be offered in the spring? Who's got their crystal ball?
I'll jump in. So this is Keith. I mean, the goal is yes, but again, we are always dependent on the decisions of your departments and other departments across campus. So, you know, as Holly mentioned, Jill and team are trying to clean up the will not be offered kind of list first. The assumption is everything else then will be, but we know that that's not always 100% accurate until the schedule is published.
All right, Elizabeth, if students don't want to submit until they get their official list of classes, that's fine too. They will, you know, they'll have their today plus 2 business days. So that's completely fine if you want to do that. It's up to you.
What if they, I mean, but if they have their appointment before October 18th, they won't know. And I just have some particular students who I know are going to be like, I want to know. And then I want to submit it once, and then I want to know and be done. And they won't, they may see me before because they're overachievers and they want to get in as soon as possible. And then they don't want to submit. And then October 18th comes and they could, in theory, resubmit if they just submit a CRF before, which I can tell them, but they might not do that still. You know, it seems a little unfair that students who, because we have to see students like beginning this week or last week in order to get them on. So,
yeah, so
right,
Elizabeth, you'll always have the autonomy for those particular students. If you want to if they want to wait until the schedule of classes is published, then you can reopen their status window. Yes, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't think I could, so.
Oh, sure, yeah, yep, you can open it, you can give them, you can keep assigning them status windows, absolutely, yes.
Power, that's great.
Yeah.
Holly, I'm gonna jump in. I don't want to cut it off, but I know Lynn, I was gonna follow up, Lynn, to your first question, and now you just referenced it again. So the main reason that this open-ended, no date restriction status window was changed, quite honestly, is from a demand perspective. So we worked on our side and looked at the past several semesters of the students that were assigned that no date restriction window and when they submitted their CRF relative to the work that we're trying to do behind the scenes to account for demand prior to the batch actually running and schedules being produced. And it's, you know, we know that this is an imperfect system. There's give and takes on both sides, but the conversation was focused on trying to shift as many students submitting their CRFs earlier in the process, and I'm as guilty as anyone. You give me a deadline and I'm probably going to submit whatever I have to do on the day that it's due. And so by shifting this earlier and not having that open no date restriction window available for anybody or for everybody in this case, the goal is to shift that earlier so that we can better account for demand and work with departments to identify where additional capacity might be needed before the actual batch runs. Again, we know the trade-off in part is that you don't have that open-ended, and examples like Elizabeth just referenced with students that might wait or want to wait until the schedule's published. We get that, we understand that, you know, which is one of the reasons we came up with this new 5-day window that Holly talked about, and working with the UUAA, you know, leadership and getting a sense of how this is going to work. So that was the reason that we removed that open-ended, no end date registration window or status window. Sorry. I think Angela, I hear you. I won't say I understand it because I'm not in your position. I think that's just where, as a department, as an advising team, you're just going to have to tell students this is our, you as a department will need to determine what makes the most sense for you. And you're right, students talk. They talk no matter what. They know how to game the system. I mean, we heard this. We were meeting with student groups about other things, and we heard examples where, I have a seat in this class and my friend wants it, and I'm going to drop it the moment, that other, we understand the way that games are played across campus, and we're trying to manage all of these different priorities. So I know it puts additional pressure on, and so I think that's just something that we'll need to continue to focus on and think about how we can try to support each other. Heather, that's a really good question. I think part of the challenge, we're always going to assess the results of our batch, and we're always going to look at how much additional capacity we've added from the time that the schedule is published and what departments initially, basically commit to, based on the projections that are out there now. So one of the things we look at is how many additional seats we've added over time. And, we've shared some of those statistics over the past several cycles. I think part of the challenge is going to continue to be, as we are comparing our current cycle to past cycles, the last year and a half is throwing everything off because, because of COVID, because of the fully online cohort, last fall, and then the changes we made for last spring. So we're going to continue to look at how we've performed in the past, but we also know it's not a one-to-one comparison. But, to Heather's point, this is information that we'll take back, not just to leadership on our side, but leadership within the Office of the Provost as we continue to talk about, what are the goals of this process? How are we measuring, the success of that, and what ultimately we're trying to accomplish and achieve as part of this? And so that will be part of that continued ongoing conversation. And so certainly some of you will be involved in those conversations up front, and we'll continue to bring, updates not only to this group, but many of our other groups as well.
One last thing on pre-reg. Don't forget that all students will have that final status window November 18th and 19th, just like we do for VSTAR. And whether or not you make that known to your students is up to you. But every student will have that final status window to make those last minute changes before the CRF shuts down on the 19th at 5 p.m. So everybody gets that so long as they have submitted their CRF.
Okay, good discussion. Prereqs will be listed in the details of the class. Prereqs are in My Purdue. Yes, you do have to look at in the magnifying glass in the scheduling assistant to see course description, credit hours, prereqs. It's not in your face at the time you register unless it's an error. Right in details. Okay. All right. Good questions. Any additional, you can follow up with, if it's a pre-reg topic, you can email pre-reg, use the submission form, use the form on our website to submit to pre-reg topics, or if it's a registration question, you can select that on our submission form on the registrar's website. All right, end of term timelines. These are ugly. I do not pretend they're anything other than ugly, but for me personally, as a member who is going to be sticking it out through the bitter end, I feel your pain, I empathize with you, but I would rather get it done and have those approved winter recess days, or most of them, rather than drag it out into the new year. So end of term timelines. Grades are due on Tuesday, December 21st by 5 p.m. Ryan's going to do all of his magic stuff for end of term processing. I will send the list of failed prereqs, so students that are enrolled in a spring 22 course that no longer meet the requisites. That list will be shared the morning of Wednesday, the 22nd. Decisions will need to be made by the time banner shuts down that day. I will say 5 p.m. if that makes you feel better about your work hours, but the reality is y'all may not be able to get it all done before 5 p.m. So I'm going to say that for the failed pre-reg job, we can, I will stay up until 10 o'clock to schedule the Zizergam report if my friend Ryan can't do that, so that I can give you those additional hours on the day Wednesday to enter any overrides that are needed. And then the morning of Thursday, the 23rd, y'all, most of you all, I hope, will be on your winter recess. I will be running the, I say me, I'm hoping that I might have a hand or two to help me, but I'll be processing drops for those students in their spring courses that no longer meet the requisites and were not given an override. So that will happen on Thursday. I will also be dropping students from their spring registration if they're on drop status, unless they have a not submitted grade or a pending appeal. We always look at both. If you have a not submitted grade, or if you have an appeal that's in a pending status already submitted, I'm not going to drop you from your future spring 22 term. Janet, I'm saying the agenda says 10 p.m., but for the purposes of work-life balance, I'm not going to tell you you have to log on after 5 o'clock to enter the overrides. I'm simply saying I'm not going to run the job to capture anybody that doesn't have an override until that 10 p.m. window hits, to give you guys more time should you desire that after 5 o'clock. That's kind of what I'm saying. We will run the foreign language credit for students that have completed an upper level course. We'll run that job on Wednesday. Probation, if students are on probation status, I'll schedule that email to go out to them on Wednesday, the 22nd. And the drop email will also need to be sent on the 22nd, because I'm not going to ask EMAR, I'm not going to schedule anything on a day that the university is observing as a university holiday. So the downside is students are going to get the want notification before Christmas, but I would rather have them have that. I would rather them know instead of not know over the whole winter recess. Again, the downside is I don't know how many of you guys are going to get inundated with those freakouts emails about what can you do now between now and the date we return on January 3rd. So I don't think there's an ideal solution, but that's where we're at. So those are in the agenda, all the dates. Mark your calendars if you're responsible for reviewing failed prereqs and knowing when those probation and drop emails going out. As always, I do work with Christina and formerly Sandy on what the probation and drop emails say and get those scheduled. And I do try to remember to send a copy of that to you all before they go out to the students, so you know exactly what the language is, so that you're not guessing on what we've told them. Okay. All right. Yes, Katie Defoe. Thank you. There's a group. There's an advisor group that helps craft those emails. All right, moving on to Peg with credit eval.
Not putting my camera on. I moved my desk and I haven't figured out good lighting yet, so you can barely see me. I just wanted to let you know that we have been caught up with what we call active students all week. So we're excited to be caught up somewhere. And we're able, as those transcripts come in, we just go ahead and get them processed so we can stay caught up. On the new student side, we call those applicants because they're applicants, I think, until they get grades. We are down to 650 that need to be done. This number was as high as 2,500 or more. earlier in the summer, and at that time, as many as we addressed, more came in, so we just weren't making any progress. And we made a choice to work on the active students because we felt like more of them would have pre-req issues than our new students. We know new students have pre-req issues, but that's the case. I'd like to remind everybody, do not encourage your student to send us a second copy of a transcript. It would be lovely if we sent out a message that said, we've received your transcript, and I have asked for that, and it still hasn't happened. So, but when they send us a second transcript, they move from the slot that they had date-wise to the new receipt of the transcript. So it just pushes them down farther in the list. And this is also selfish, but I would like for you to hold off on emailing me about your pet students who need to have their pre-req loaded. I'm confident that we're going to be caught up sometime in the first week of October, but definitely by that October 18th date. And every email I answer is a credit evaluation that doesn't get done. So we're working on it, and most of the new students who say, I need this done, I'm telling them to wait in line. And right now, my people are looking at working on transcripts that were received on July 27th. So anything later in July or in August, we're still waiting to get there. My people are processing roughly 75 to 100 people a day. So I think we're closing in on it. We're very excited. It's been a long, tough summer. So any questions? No, there isn't a preferred location. Well, I would say, here's our resource. We first look in Extender, but I know that a bunch of transcripts never move from Slate into Extender for us, and our report runs off of Extender. So if you can see it in Slate and can't see it in Extender, if you can wait just a couple of weeks, please let us know and we'll make sure we get those caught up. So there are several issues with the way transcripts come in and get moved, and we find out that they need to be done. So, and we're closing in on our second interviews for the open position that we have. So that, of course, will help things, probably not this round, but in future rounds, because it takes a while to train. So, other question? Yes, not everybody has Slate access. I understand that. And that's controlled by admissions. I don't know how they decide who gets it and who doesn't. Yes, I will let advising know when we are caught up. It will be a big announcement for us. Anything else? I will turn it over. I'll turn it over.
I think mine got hidden.
Okay.
You said you're at the end of July. If we have transcripts from beginning of July that were submitted, at what point should we be reaching out to you guys, let you know, or like concerned that they've been missed?
I'll let you go ahead and let us know now.
Okay.
But it would be helpful if they've submitted a second transcript, they may have moved themselves into the middle of August or the end of August. So.
But that would be in the Slate board banner?
Yeah,
sorry,
you can
Slate
see in Slate, you can see each time the transcript is submitted.
Thank you.
So. It would be so nice to have a perfect world.
That would just be boring, Peg. There'd be nothing to complain about.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Peg. All right, Chris Pass.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks. Yes, my favorite topic. Winter commencement, if you haven't already noticed on our website, it has been moved from our traditional Sunday ceremonies to Saturday. Our undergrad and our master's candidates and professional will be on Saturday. PhD will be Sunday morning. So that is a shift in our traditional commencement setting. We are in the beginning stages of getting the candidate records ready for the portal to open on September 24th. So the portal will open for winter candidates to go in and indicate participation, and that closes on the 5th at 10 p.m. In preparation, we will be looking at those students that are in sought status. So if you haven't had a chance yet to look at those students, I would encourage you to try to make a plan to do that. I will be sending out to the candidate coordinators the sought students before I remove them, so they know, because if there's not a transfer credit note or some kind of note out there to save them, I don't know that you've been working with them, and I would remove them. But before I do that, I'll send it out to the candidate coordinator so they can have one final review before we do to eliminate that aha moment at the end. Because sometimes those students then pop in at the end and say, well, I had transfer credit. Well, nobody knew about it. Because of the shift of the ceremony, there are final exams going on Saturday morning. So if you have a candidate that got the luck of the draw for a Saturday morning exam, please let them know that if that conflicts with their 9:30 ceremony, if they're in that 9:30 group, to email commencement@purdue.edu, because I can then move them to the afternoon ceremony so they are able to come to a commencement exercise. So just have them email us and I'll gladly work with them, because we know that that could be a problem. COVID is still showing, still out there, and we're working with it. Because of that constraint, I have to limit tickets at the present time. The students on the portal will be able to indicate 1 or 2 tickets. And then if COVID constraints are changed, they can give me the option of 1 or 2 more. So when the portal closes, if I have guidelines that have changed and I can give them more than the 2 tickets, I will. But I can't guarantee those 2 tickets because each ceremony has 800 students in it projected, and we have to do some social distancing in the Hall of Music. I'm not able to give them more than those 2 tickets, unfortunately. So the deadline, again, to apply to graduate is October 26th. So we will be monitoring that every day after the portal opens. Each day we'll add those students to the roster so they can get the portal in time to indicate participation. We are still mailing, which is really good. We've been working with our cap and gown vendor. They're mailing out the cap and gowns when the student orders them. So that allows the student to get their cap and gown within 2 weeks after they order, so they can get pictures. So we've already seen on social media where the parents are happy because students are able to get pictures taken before snow hits. So they're already booking their senior pictures with their cap and gowns. We will be awarding degrees after the holidays. So January 5th is our target date. If you have a student for some unknown reason to us, but to a reason to them, that they need their degree awarded prior to that date, if they can email commencement@purdue.edu, then we'll work with them. If you've cleared them, we will try to get their degree awarded for them to get a transcript. because transcripts are generated, the e-transcripts are generated nightly for students that have ordered them. Diplomas, we're going to order them after the holiday break. So diplomas will not be set to be ordered until January 10th. So students will need to have their addresses updated before that date. And electronic diplomas, which they can go online through our commencement website and order a CE diploma. That is a cost of $10, but they have to order it after the 24th. They'll get an email when they're ready to order. So that's a nice service that our vendor has been able to provide to our students. I think that's all I have, Lisa, for commencement, unless I have some questions.
Chris, I think you were going to mention the sign up.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. And I'm working on that right now. That's crazy that I forgot it. I am working on the college sign up for the Armory. I know that's been a great help to us, and I am so appreciative to everybody that's volunteered so far to help us in the Armory. So that will be going out by the end of today to y'all to sign up for help if you're available to work at the Armory. The Armory is like a 2-hour time slot commitment that once the candidates have left the Armory, you're free to go. So it's a fun atmosphere. The students, it'll give you the last chance to see your student before they graduate. So it's kind of fun to be a part of. So that will be going out today, the link, the Google Doc. So thank you, Lisa, for reminding me.
We couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate it. And I think we can almost guarantee that it won't be 95 degrees in the Armory in December.
Yes, that'll be great. I know, because August, it was pretty hot in there.
It was pretty hot in August. Yes. Thank you, Chris. So if you guys have any questions for Chris, do not hesitate to reach out to her or Commencement at Purdue. They are happy to answer your questions. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, I have a quick, well, maybe quick. So this message that I just put in the chat is what pops up when we're in add and drop period. And this is a confusing, I understand it's confusing. I don't know what it means. Also in that same box, it's got the request approvals or cancel. Students they get frozen when they read this message and they reach out to you because they don't know what to do. Regrettably, modifying this language is what the developers call baseline code change, which means it will take virtually an act of God to get this language changed because it is like the foundation code that would have to be changed. So before I take up that hill to die on, I'm going to do my best I'll create a short video. We'll put it in our FAQs, but I want to make sure I bring this to your attention because typically you guys are the first point of contact when a student gets frozen out of confusion that, yes, this doesn't make much sense, but you need to click the box right underneath it that says request approvals. Regardless of what that says up there, just keep going forward, request approvals. Of course, if they haven't talked to you about it first, it's good that they're reaching out to you so you can talk to them and educate them on maybe what they may or may not should be doing. But I wanted to bring it up and let you guys know that this is a pain point. I know it's a pain point. We're just going to work on education between you guys and the students. We'll put stuff on our YouTube as well. Yes, Stephanie, it's a banner code change. I thought I said that. If I didn't, that's what I intended to say. Will there be information going out to students about the typical drop deadline? Keith, Heather, I don't know. How intentional is, how on purpose does the campus intend on being in communicating the end of the 9th week deadlines?
I don't have a definitive answer. I will have to check and get a sense if that's a mass communication and update or what kind of communication. We can also talk with our partners in enrollment management communications and our student digest and see if that's something where we can make note of that as well.
And that we have, that topic has come up a couple of times about it needing to go out and digest emails. I don't know that it has yet. I haven't seen all of those messages, so I'm not sure, but it was definitely on the radar because people have been raising this and with for good reason since before the semester began. So yeah, it's a good, we'll check back with them and see if it's happened, and if it has, it needs to happen again.
Thank you. Lori Snyder, issue with this is students keep requesting approvals, which frustrates instructors to approve over and over. Yes, yes. I kind of have a thought in my mind about working through the developers. So in the CCR, you can't submit if you've got a pending action item. I don't know if there's the possibility of developing some enhancements in the scheduling assistant to say, you can't request an additional add of the same course until you've got a decision on said course that you've already got, because I do get emails from you guys and faculty to say, I've approved this 17 times. And it's the student that bundles it with a course that gets denied, so I've got to resubmit it, or it's a student that is stuck waiting and they're antsy, so they submit another course request and they're hedging their bets to see which one gets approved first. So student behavior is difficult to wrangle and anticipate. Would it be possible to put end times on the pre-registration and registration timelines? Yeah, we could do that, right? Because pre-reg typically has a 5 p.m. and registration is generally the end of the calendar day. So yeah, we can do our best to incorporate that wherever we see a date. Yes, absolutely. Good feedback. Okay, I apologize. I've gone 4 minutes over. I'm so sorry. We will put the recording out here. And as promised, I will work with Denise to see about getting everybody added to this channel so that when I post an agenda in this channel, you guys can actually see it. So thank you all so much for your time. I know you guys are incredibly busy, so I don't take it lightly that you take time out of your day to spend time with us to share information, and I appreciate your feedback. Have a great Taco Tuesday. See you next month.